y'all should be doing laundry. Why are you watching trials? Get up and do your chores. And welcome, Granny Smith. Hi. He pled guilty Monday. So the day that the trial was supposed to start, he had already got, the jury had been seated and they were getting ready to start opening statements when he decided to plead guilty. So now we are essentially getting the same trial. So structurally, nothing really has changed about the trial that we're getting, but the jury only now has to decide. It's just silent. He was talking, and since the court was out of session, they weren't recording him. I did see if there was anything, but there wasn't. So essentially what we're getting is the same trial we would have gotten, but now the jury only has to decide whether he is going to get the ultimate punishment because this is a capital case, or life without parole. Now, the defense seems to be a plant from the state, just hoping to get him, sent to old Sparky, but that seems to be my opinion. I mean, but they seem to be a plant from the state.
And that would be appropriate?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how long have you worked for the FBI?
21 years.
And what's your educational background before or during the FBI?
So before the FBI, I graduated from Texas A&M, class of 99. I was an environmental science major and did environmental consulting for 4 years before joining the FBI. And
how the hell did you become a Fed? Environmental sciences, and then you went with government work? Of all the majors to have, interesting.
In 2004, and when I joined the FBI as a special agent, stationed in Washington, D.C. for 7 years, and moved back to Texas and San Antonio. I was then back to our headquarters and then back here to Dallas in 2019. The whole time I was as a part of our evidence response team, our hazardous evidence response team. So I've been doing evidence response for at least 18 of those 21 years.
And to be a part of the evidence response team, do you have any specific training?
We do. So as special agents, we have some basic crime scene training in our new agents class, but we then can volunteer to be a part of the evidence response team, which is an ancillary duty that we can take on with our normal day-to-day jobs. But in order to be a part of that team, you do have to go through a 2-week basic class that teaches you evidence collection, fingerprinting, DNA, photography, alternate light source, and some other techniques that we use, a little bit of computer forensics, not much. We have specialists for that. And then we can go to advanced crime scene courses as well. So advanced fingerprinting, we go to the body farm, which is to recover bodies. And we can go to some outside of the FBI classes as well.
Have you been to the body farm?
I have not, no.
Have you done any of these other special or advanced trainings?
So I have done, like I said, I'm the team leader for our hazardous evidence response team. So I focus a lot on collection of evidence in hazardous environments. So I've done some extra latent fingerprint lifting and some DNA training as well.
Now, how did the FBI?
Like the evidence is hazardous, or where the evidence is hazardous? Because I am confused, and now you set off my tism. Like, so I guess, are you picking up plutonium, or are you picking up stuff like biohazard? Or like on top of a cliff. I love that I get sidetracked by these very like pedantic word usages, and it doesn't matter in the scheme of anything. But these are the type of things that stop me in my track. And I'm like, wait, no, we need to define this better. What hazards are there? Are you the hazard? Is the environment the hazard? Is the person the hazard? What is the hazard in the hazardous, evidence, lead that you are?
Get involved in the, search and investigation for Athena Strand?
Sure. So typically when the FBI gets involved in a non-federal case, we're invited by whoever the executive authority is for whatever agency, whether it's a sheriff's office, like in this case, or a police chief of a police department. We're asked to assist, and we have a method for doing that from executive to executive level. And then one thing that the FBI provides, the ERT, ERT at the FBI in Dallas, we have 3 teams of 8 to 10 people. So that's 30 personnel. Some of them are still in the process of training, but I would say probably at least at the time of this, especially over half of them were fully certified with advanced training. And so we would be kind of a force multiplier. So anytime there's a scene or a crime that spreads across multiple crime scenes, lots of the police departments don't have the crime scene capability to handle 3 or 4 crime scenes at a time. And so we can provide that supplemental crime scene processing.
So the FBI in this case was an assisting agency because there were multiple crime scenes.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, it was a state warrant that we were assisting on. So they provided that warrant, and then we provided the trained personnel to conduct the search.
And I think you mentioned you were a team leader. How does a team leader work in these teams?
Correct. So with a team leader, it's my job to assign roles within the search. So we have various roles on each search. We have obviously a team leader. We'll have an assistant team leader. We'll have a photographer. We'll have a person that does sketching. We'll have an evidence custodian that is in charge of making sure the evidence stays clear and is labeled properly and is packaged properly. And then we have usually several searchers that will then go out into the scene and do various searches, just depending on what we're doing. If it's a forensic search, then we have certain techniques that we utilize there. If it's just a document search, it might not be quite the same as a forensic search. So it's my job as the team leader to decide what steps we conduct that search, what personal protective equipment needs to be used to both protect the agents or the professional staff, the ERT team, and then what personal protection equipment needs to be worn to protect the crime scene as well. So we have our suits, Tyvek suits that we wear. You've probably seen them, on TV or something, but they have hoodies, we have booties. We always wear gloves. So that keeps our forensic fingerprint, our DNA, our fingerprints, our hairs, our fibers.
So I think he would be special agent, whatever his last name was, and then lead on whatever they classify his CERT team. So I don't know how, organizationally they would structure, but I'm guessing he would be special agent, Joe Guy, and then maybe head of the CERT team for subsection B.
Out of the scene for a forensic scene. So it's my job to not only assign those tasks, but to decide how people are going to enter that crime scene.
You mentioned the Tyvek suits. Are those a certain color?
Typically they're white, yes.
And in general, are there certain standard policies and procedures that the FBI ERT team follows when going into a crime scene?
There are. So we have a set order of how we process a crime scene. And first step is to conduct a kind of a one-on-one turnover with whoever initially had that scene. The FBI ERT is never, I feel confident saying never the first one on scene. Typically, the local police department was there, or maybe our FBI SWAT team, or in this case, the Texas Rangers SRT. So if there's another agency that's there, it's my job as the team leader to liaison with them, figure out what kind of situation, see if there's any evidence that is obvious and possibly transient that might disappear when they need to collect quicker. Sometimes electronic evidence such as phones or computers can be perishable, so we need to react to those quicker. So all that would be discussed in the turnover. And then once I have that turnover for whatever agency was holding the scene until we got there, I would then go ahead and walk the scene with that person. And while the rest of the team is kind of setting up a little base of operations area, just simple table, chairs, places that we can bring out the evidence to, getting a sign-in log started and getting some of the other admin logs started about like what time we got there, who was there, other things. So we would then walk through the scene as carefully as possible with the proper PPE on to preserve the scene itself. Like I said, as we're walking through, I'll have a sheet from time to time of noting certain evidence as we walk through, just depending on how big the scene is and how much I can and can't remember. So we'll walk through the scene completely, and usually we're with the photographer too, who is also one of the first steps we do in that walkthrough is we take initial photographs of the scene before we do any searching. So they're called entry photos. It's to show how we found the scene. It's not necessarily how the scene was before anybody got there. It's the scene as we found it when we showed up. And it starts with the front door, hopefully getting the address numbers in the picture. And it's usually walking through into the house, if it's a residence, around the house, and any other outbuildings that may be on the property itself. So those would be the entry photos that get taken as we're doing the initial walkthrough.
And at some point, your ERT team was called out. Where were you guys called out first to?
We were called out directly to the residence. It was 7628 Somerville Place Road, Fort Worth, Texas.
Was that the defendant, Tanner Horner's residence?
From what I understand, from when I was called out there, yes.
Okay. And when you arrive on scene,
I don't know if the FBI would have body cams, but we might be getting body cams from other people because we haven't heard yet from the Texas Ranger SRT group that was there first. So maybe they do have video, but considering they only found, excuse me, her pants, I believe, in Tanner's backpack. I believe those were the big item of evidence that they found to link Tanner. I believe they were in a backpack in the shed where he was living. So I don't remember anything else from the opening statement or the last time I read or watched this, anything else of big importance that they caught. But as I said, I have slept and not slept since then. So I think that was the big item that they found at first. Now, I don't remember if there were other smaller things that were linked as well.
what did you see?
Sure. When we arrived, there were multiple law enforcement personnel already there, multiple Texas Rangers, a couple of FBI special agents from the squad that was assisting Wise County, and they were kind of there holding the scene until we got there. At that point, the Rangers had already secured the scene from any kind of a threat, like a person threat at the house, so they cleared it, and they were just kind of waiting for us to show up. And so I got there, and the rest of the team got there a few minutes later, and we started to do all the things that I just described, kind of set up a little base area and start with our entry photos.
And so I think you said when you got there, the Rangers had already secured the house.
Correct. Yes.
Did you receive a warrant, like a search warrant for the home when you
Yes.
arrived on scene?
Yes, we did from the Rangers.
Okay. And earlier you said part of your procedure is to do a walkthrough. Did you do a walkthrough with the Rangers in this case?
I did, yes.
And after you did that walkthrough, what did you do next?
So after that walkthrough, we identified a couple of things that looked like they were possible items of evidence outside of the residence around behind the shed, which was later identified as the defendant's quote unquote bedroom or place where he stayed. And then we were able to see in there, and I could see that the area inside that shed where the defendant stayed was very messy, very much in a disarray. There's lots of trash, so I knew from there that the search was going to be a little bit more difficult because of the nature of that residence. It was separate than the main house. The main house was a little bit more orderly, and I kind of divided up. So from that walkthrough, I decided we're probably going to tackle this in kind of almost like two teams, one in the main house and then one focus. It just wasn't big enough. The shed wasn't big enough for multiple people to be in there. It's really big enough. We search in teams of two, just for checks and balances to make sure we always have two of our ERT folks together. So I saw, after that walkthrough, I saw what was identified as children's clothes back behind the shed in the grass. Typically, and in this case, it was no different. When I see evidence like that could have trace DNA on it outside at night, I tend to collect that as quickly as possible, but still following procedures. I don't want the weather, the wind, or somebody else trampling through there to mess it up as we see it. So we started moving forward. Once the entry photos were done, I would have instructed the photographer to go ahead and get in-place pictures of those items, and then we would label them with our evidence tints and then go ahead and collect them so that they were out of the elements and we could secure those as quickly as possible.
And so you noticed these items yourself on your initial walkthrough?
I did, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were there...
And I very much, again, it's so incredibly, wonderful that all of these things were in place and that a competent investigation was done. And it is so incredibly frustrating that this does not happen every time. That every time we go to a trial, we don't have this kind of level of diligence. And it's so frustrating. I'm beyond glad that it was this level of attention was given to Athena, but it really pisses me off that we don't have this level of care, attention to details, and going by the rule book in every single, investigation. And each one of these investigators, probably had to look at the entire case file and saw all of the grossness, all of the rotten things that happened to this little girl. So it really does irritate me that the same care isn't taken with every case, because it could be done.
Any other items, I'll call it evidentiary value, that you saw that were ultimately collected?
There were, in his bedroom, I believe on his bed, there was a FedEx shirt and a hoodie that during this whole search, we've been talking to the Rangers, and that turnover, like I mentioned, they were telling us kind of what kind of clothes we might be looking for, what they were interested in. I believe they were interviewing him at the time of our search. And so little tidbits of things would come out from that interview. And so one of those was a FedEx shirt. And so we collected that FedEx shirt, and then a hoodie that was also found on his bed.
So during this search, you were getting information that was being provided by the suspect, and were you also providing information back to others for the interview with the suspect?
Yes, yeah. So as we located items that appeared to be, as we started photographing them, they fit the description of the victim's clothing that she was wearing that day. We told the Rangers, and they were able to phone that back to the interview team.
So that's so Ranger Espinoza would have updated information while he was interviewing the suspect?
Correct, yes.
And you're on the average?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what are marked as States Exhibits 53 through 82. And prior to you sitting here, have you gone through all of these photos?
I have, yes.
And can you tell me what those are?
So these are crime scene photos from the residence that night, starting with our entry photos, and then there are some photos of the actual evidence taken both in place and when we process forensic items of evidence. We usually have to stretch them out to get a good idea of what they are. We don't want to leave them balled up. We do that on a clean sheet of brown kind of butcher paper that we just unrolled and cut. And we do two sheets, one on the ground, and we do another sheet, and we place the items on top of that sheet. We take photos of both sides of the item. And then from there, we wrap that sheet, that brown sheet, over the items and package that so that if anything had fallen off while we were moving the items, it still gets collected within the bag and can be processed by the lab.
You can take a look if you don't recall what it's all in those pictures, but if you do they all fairly and accurately depict the actual residence and all the evidence collected as you personally saw it that night?
They do.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers into evidence States Exhibit 52,
53.
53 through 82.
Any objections other than in addition to those previously given to the court?
No additional objection, Your Honor.
Then your previous objections remain overruled and States Exhibits 53 through 82 are admitted.
Thank you, Judge. And may we publish?
Yes.
We're talking about how one of the first things you do is do a walkthrough, and then you do, I guess, what we call initial photos.
We call them entry photos.
Entry photos, okay. Is that what these photos that we're going to be looking at are?
Correct. Yeah, this would have been probably the first photo that was taken because our first photo tries to incorporate a house number as well as the front door of the house, which this photo does.
And so in this photo, does it have, I guess, the address in the photo?
It does here on the mailbox post, 7628.
So this next photo, what are we looking at here?
What exhibit number are we looking at? This is, be sure to identify them by exhibit number.
So this would be 54.
Okay.
I'm showing you what is marked as States Exhibit 54.
So that's the front of the residence.
And now I'm showing you what is marked as States Exhibit 55. Is that just kind of a slightly different angle of the residence?
Yes. Yeah, we try to take all sides of the residence before we enter.
Okay. This is State's Exhibit 56.
I feel I need to say this. Look, you can be hillbilly, you can be hillchuck without being dirty. Most of us are hillbilly, but we do not have trash and redonkulousness and an old wash machine out in our backyard. Oh my goodness.
What am I looking at now?
So this is, if you were looking at the house, the right side of the house, and then the shed over to the right side of the photograph is the shed where the defendant was, I assume, living. There's a bed in there, and that's where his clothes were.
In State's Exhibit 57, what do we see in this?
So now on the left side of that photograph is the same shed where the defendant was living. And then the building on the right was just kind of like a storage building. And then if you walk in between those buildings and around the back of that shed on the left is where we noted the children's clothing, child's clothing.
Well, I do not believe his son was actually living in the shed at that time. I believe that the grandmother, now this is speculation because there was a bit redacted in the I want to make a deal kind of interview. But given the kind of statement that came after the redaction, it does seem like Cassie's mom might have gotten in touch with CPS and said, hey, I don't want my grandbaby living like this. And she had custody of the little baby boy at the time of the incident. So this is speculation, but from everything that they've said, only the grandmother, the mom, and the brother were actually on the property when all of this search and the SWAT team went on.
So State's Exhibit 58, it looks like this is a closer view to that shed. Are we seeing anything else in here?
I mean, there's items, trash, looks like recent trash outside the item. There's a guitar that may or may not have worked, but yeah, it's just kind of the front on view of that shed.
And State's Exhibit 59?
Similar, just a closer up version of that.
And is it standard to kind of take kind of further out and then kind of go closer in photos, or how do y'all normally do it?
Yeah, for evidence, absolutely. But even for our entry photos, if we decide sometimes when there's a lot going on, meaning there's a lot of items in there, then we'll kind of approach that scene. It's the photographer's training to make their photography look as if you're walking up to a door that you're going to then go in and search. And so, yeah, different angles is pretty common.
This is State's Exhibit 60. This is just a slightly different angle.
Yeah. Yeah, I think noting, so lots of times we want to use even our entry photos can also show evidence in place. So with the bed being there, our photographer would have tried to get as much as she could have on that bed without actually walking in.
I'm showing State's Exhibit 61.
Same thing. So she just approached the door a little bit closer, took another photograph.
And State's Exhibit 62.
Similar. So she probably stepped, just a little bit into the shed, and
So she's kind of right at the door right now.
yeah.
Okay. All right, now State's Exhibit 63. What are we looking at here?
So this just would have been another angle within the shed. It's still the shed where that bed is that you saw before.
Is this kind of more the left side of the shed compared
Correct.
to the
Yeah, as you walk in the
right?
door to the left. And as I said, these are entry photos. So this is the condition of it as we found it. And just by looking at it, it was already in that kind of disarray when we found it.
So this disarray was not done by your search.
No, this is before we've done any searching.
And State's Exhibit 64.
Same, just getting our.
Why are there two vacuums? I am legitimately not trying to be stupid, but how can one have such a dirty house when one owns two vacuums? This is, y'all, I think that I am a chaos demon, but then I see pictures like this and I'm like, you know what? I'm not as bad. I still need to tidy up.
Training for entry photos.
Why is the most terrifying to me thing here is he a brony too? Is he not only a disgusting, monster, but also a brony or a stuffy? Why the hell are there random stuffed animals everywhere? There's one here. And another effing vacuum cleaner. There's a dust buster, the vacuum right here. This is tweaking my anxiety, y'all. I never thought I was a neat freak, but now I want to go tidy something up.
Typically teaches us to take a photo from each corner of the room. Because of the amount of stuff that was in here, we couldn't do that without completely moving everything, which we weren't prepared to do at that time. We needed to get our in-place photos. So I remember having this conversation with the photographer that let's just get, from the center of the room, let's just get pictures panning around.
Okay. And State's Exhibit 65.
So similar now, she's looking back at that front door. So she's doing that kind of 360 look as she pans around.
In State's Exhibit 66.
Same thing. Now she's turning.
And here's the thing. Yes, things could have been tough. They could have had to live in a shed, but it could have been clean. It could have been a place where a little boy is getting ready to crawl and explore the world. Because because you don't have money doesn't mean you have to live like this. I would just like to point out that most hillbillies, most hill chucks, most, country folk, we don't live like this. We don't have a lot of money, but we keep our stuff clean and nice because, we know how much it takes to earn that money to have nice things.
To look at the bed and take that entry photo.
Now, was there any floor space for you to walk on, or?
Very little. Yeah, there was a lot of trash, dirty clothes, some kids' toys, just other items that were kind of just all over the place. Yeah.
Now, State's Exhibit
So just noting the items on the shelf here, I think she would have just, like I said, we don't know what's evidence at that point when we're doing our entry photos. So when we see a shelf like that, she would have easily recognized that as maybe a place something could be. So she wants to get an in-place picture of it. And, in this case, there's some children's toys, there's, Tide Pods and just other stuff on the shelf. I believe there's a game console up there. So she might have been trying to get that in there as well. You can see at the top shelf, that white box is the game console.
Is that a pizza box?
On the floor?
Uh-huh.
Yes, yeah.
And looks like we're moving back outside. Talking about, I guess, the inside of the shed, was there any type of smell?
From what I remember, yeah, it smelled like kind of old garbage, like you hadn't taken out your garbage in days, and probably a mixture of dirty clothes as well. It smelled pretty bad.
All right, I'm gonna show you State's Exhibit 68. So slightly different angle. So what are we looking at here?
So this is, now that she has gotten the photos of the inside of the shed, she's going to work her way around the outside before we start doing any evidence collection. So that's part of this process, is taking another photo of that angle as she's moving down that area between the two buildings. And I would have been right with her as the walkthrough. We would be behind her and she'd be taking pictures, and then we'd walk and picture and then walk.
And State's Exhibit 69.
Same thing, just continuing that walk. You can see we're getting closer to that trash can if you look back at the other picture.
And now we're looking at State's Exhibit 70. Now orientate us between those two. Are we between those two buildings? Where are we at now?
So now we're kind of over behind the shed.
Okay.
In that building. And this is the area where the ranger said they thought they saw some children's clothes, specifically a little girl's clothes. So we kind of keyed on that and wanted to get a picture of it before we walked back there and started messing with anything. But it's really hard on the screen, but you can almost see dead center, a little bit bottom of center. There is what looks to be like a little sock. Yeah. So that's the first thing that we noted, that from what we knew of the victim seemed to match.
And is there also, it looks like maybe a cigarette package there to the left?
Yeah, it could be. There was a lot of garbage just buried in there too. I think at one point it seemed like whether it was the defendant or other people who lived on the property.
Slidey Pie, thank you for the Rumble rant for $2. Did I miss anything in the first hour? Should I go back and watch later? Not really. You guys just basically missed. We had one agent that was talking about FBI agent that was talking about cell phone and geolocation That was happening as the interviews with Tanner were going on. So basically, he was there to explain that they had already started looking at cell phone and Wi-Fi data that was available from the delivery truck due to a modem, a Wi-Fi modem being in there. So basically, with this agent, we got that they had already located and started telling other people within Unified Command that there were places they needed to look. And it is a little fuzzy, but either deputies were going to be dispatched to the area in the creek where she was found, or they had it marked and they didn't find her at that particular time. So that's kind of what we got. We also got another officer who basically was there kind of keeping watch on the house, Tanner's house, where he lived with his mother, grandmother, and brother and his fiancée, until they were able to get a search warrant. So they did an exigent search to see if Athena was in the home. But she didn't turn out to be there. So then they held the scene until a search warrant was gathered. And now this is the FBI going through pictures. And thank you, Genuine, for becoming a member. So this is the FBI going through pictures of Tanner's living situation. He was living in a shed on his mother or grandmother's property. I don't know who actually owned the home, but it was not Tanner. So this is them finding little pieces of things that were were brought to the home. So they are finding little Athena socks, and he did also bring home a pair of, or her pants that she was wearing on that day. Now, we are finishing up day 3, and then we'll be going into day 4. So just a little bit of a kind of 5-minute update if you don't know what this case is about, because this is a bit of a rough one. This is a child case. It was fairly big. This is the Athena Strand case. Now, Tanner Horner, the defendant, has already pled guilty to abducting her from her home, putting her in his FedEx truck, and then taking her life after SAing her. Basically, we are getting the same trial as we would have got if we were still deciding whether he was guilty or innocent. But now, the only thing that the jury has to do is decide whether the crimes that he committed deserve the death penalty, or he's going to get life without parole. The big sort of worry about this case was that even though there was dash cam in his van, he did place something to impede the viewing, but the audio of this attack and red rum was covered. So there is an hour long of what happened and what took place in that van that the jury was shown yesterday, Friday. Or they were shown Friday. So very soon we are going to be getting into day 4, where they are shown that audio. They do listen to it. Now, it is not published. I thank goodness for that, because I was very worried. But we are going to get into the more heartbreaking, nitty-gritty aspects of this case, the patterns that were found on little Athena's body, the manner of death, and some of the more uncomfortable, unfortunate evidence of the SA. So I do want you guys to keep that in your head. Don't ever, stay on a stream with me if we're covering a harder case and you just need to take a moment. We do have puppy kitten breaks and moxie breaks, but be very aware of your own mental health. So if you need to take a moment, if this isn't a trial you can watch with me, always protect your mental health. I would much rather you be in an okay place than view with me, but I do want to give you guys a heads up that this is not going to be an easy case. The defense does seem to be a plant from the state. They seem to be wanting to piss everyone off to get this man onto Old Sparky on an express ramp. If he starts, shenaniganing, I will kick him off. But where we are right now is that the FBI scene recovery technicians are starting to go through a walkthrough of where Tanner was living and picking up evidence that will link him to Athena. And basically, they're going to be finding pieces of clothing that he took back to his hovel.
Just kind of dumping trash there.
All right, and this is State's Exhibit 71. And what am I looking at here?
So kind of that, you can see down in the bottom of this picture, what's labeled number 1 from our evidence tent is that sock that I initially mentioned. And then as you got closer to that sock, you kind of looked around that other building. You could see, if you move up to number 2, that's looks to be child's underwear, from that distance. And then if you move on to where number 3 is, over there, just to the right of the number 3 are small in size, looks like little girls' blue jeans.
And so kind of for orientation purposes, let me see if I can. So where we originally saw the sock, kind of the front part of that trash pile, now we're seeing those clothes are kind of just all in line, the 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, kind of around that other outbuilding that's next to the shed.
And it looks like there's a little tent there. Can you explain
Sure.
what that is and why you'll do that?
So
This is State's Exhibit.
State's Exhibit 72.
Okay.
Sorry, Judge.
So our procedures when we collect evidence is we take an in-place photograph. So that would have been that first one you saw that didn't have any label on it. And then we take a medium shot of it. So that would have been the one where you saw all 3 evidence tents. And then we do a close-up in place as well. And so since this would be item number 1, the tent suggested it's item number 1. And it's the close-up of the item in place where we found it.
Next. State's Exhibit 73. And so what are we looking at here?
So that's that sock, item number 1. You can see it written there on the butcher paper. This is that brown paper that I was referring to earlier. So we always take a close-up with scale as our next photo. So we have the scale there, and then we have the photograph to show size. And then this item after this picture would have been packaged up with that brown paper into a paper evidence bag.
Okay. And so what is this? The sock is laying on that butcher paper you spoke about earlier?
Correct.
Okay. And you can go next.
Yeah, once we identify it and take our pictures close up, we can then move it from that location.
Right. Yeah. So once y'all do that, you scale it, and you put, I think it's that number 1. Why do you write that number 1 on there?
Just so in the photograph we can remember which one it is in case there's multiple items that are similar in style or nature. Yeah.
Is that number 1 also how y'all label your evidence log?
Yes, in this case it is, yeah.
And you're on average?
Yes.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 83. And do you recognize this item?
I do. Yeah, this is our packaging and our labeling style. And this would have been one of our evidence items, number 1.
And what is in evidence item number 1?
It's listed here, child's light blue multicolored sock found behind shed on ground.
And is that the same piece of evidence that we're looking at here on State's Exhibit 73?
It appears to be, yes.
And are there any other identifying marks on this bag?
Yeah, we have 7 items that we put on all of our evidence bags. So we have the item number, we have the date, we have a case number, an FBI case number. We put the address, and then we have 2 initials. The initials are the collector and the assistant.
And is that bag still sealed?
It is sealed with evidence tape, yes.
And are there any marks on this bag that are not yours?
So the Wise County Sheriff's Office sticker, that would have been possibly for their evidence folks. And then these 2 labels might be, lots of times the lab that it's taken to will put their own markings on it. So it could be from that. We don't, with the FBI ERT, we don't process any evidence. We're collectors, and it goes to the official either FBI lab or state crime lab for processing.
So you collected this item, but then it will go off to a lab to be processed for
Examine, yeah.
DNA or anything else that
Sure.
needs to be looked at.
Yeah, in this case,
I think just to preserve evidence. I don't know that they're going to have him open it. Again, some of the things I think do change now that they are simply going for penalty. The state no longer has its burden to, prove that he did all of these crimes. They only have to show that it was especially egregious to the psyche. Basically, because he committed a felony, he was already in the commission of a felony while he unalived this little girl, it is a capital case. And this is in Texas, Genuine, no problem. That's why I'm here. So I kind of give you guys, if you hop in, I am your friendly, conductress of shenanigans. And I try to kind of give you an idea where we are in the case. So this was a very big case in 2022. Little Athena Strand was abducted from her front yard by a FedEx contract driver named Tanner Horner. Now, unfortunately, despite resources being dispatched immediately and them finding Tanner almost within the first 24 hours, little Athena had already lost her life by that time. Now, the state was getting ready to go through and prove his guilt, but on the first day of trial, he decided to plead. So we're essentially getting the same trial, but now the jury is just deciding whether this crime was malicious enough to warrant a death penalty. Now, I have been extremely impressed with not only the judge, but the state and the rest of the courthouse. The judge and mainly the judge, but even the state has been very reluctant in going into the graphicness. You can tell that the state prosecutors are not trying to use heartstrings on this one. This is very much not a Uvalde type prosecution. And the judge has been very, very attentive to both the jury and the witnesses, giving frequent breaks. So I will say, if we had to go through this monstrous case, this is the right courthouse, this is the right judge, and this has been thoroughly investigated. It is kind of maddening that we don't always get a very thorough, a very, precise investigation like what seems to have happened here. But I will say, if we had to do all of this, this is the right team to have handled this. They are very, very attentive, and they've been, for the most part, really, really good. And we've been through a lot of trials where we haven't seen this sort of, kind of empathy from judges. But this has been a very good judge, even in the 3 days of this trial.
Most likely be DNA. Sometimes it's fingerprints. Sometimes it's computer forensics.
Hopefully not computer forensics.
No.
And Your Honor, at this time, the state offers an evidence State Exhibit 83.
No additional testimony.
All right, State's Exhibit 83, they are overruled, and State's Exhibit 83 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge.
Ooh.
Now I'm showing you what has been admitted as State's Exhibit 74 here on the screen. And what are we looking at here?
So in the previous picture where you saw all 1, 2, 3 items, this would be the second item in that row, which appears to be a child's underwear. Looks to be female underwear.
Now I'm showing you what has been admitted as State's Exhibit 75. And what are we looking at here?
So this would have been a picture close up with scale of those underwear after they were removed from the location that they were originally found, as per our standard procedures to take those scale photographs on that same butcher paper that I was talking about.
And is there a number listed on that butcher paper?
There is number 2.
And did that correspond with the yellow tint?
Now, if you haven't been on this trial, this is actually very interesting and does go against Tanner's story because he didn't mention taking off her clothing. Now, she was found nude, and unfortunately, the thing that we all feared did happen to little Athena, but he was when he was confessing as his alter ego Zero, he didn't say anything about the fact that he had taken these clothes home with him. He said he had tried to humiliate little Athena by making her nude and threw them out on the road. So again, it's a monstrous case, but they did everything by the book. So this monster is going away.
Had next to the item.
It does.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I am showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 84. And do you recognize this item?
I do. Yeah, this is our, once again, our packaging, our labeling system, and it says item 2, and it's child's white Hanes underwear found behind shed on ground. So it would have matched the description of what we're seeing in the photograph.
And other than the lab processing, is it sealed? Is there any?
So once again, there's a Wise County Sheriff's Office sticker on there. We would have put that. That would be Wise County that would put that. And then a couple other markers that look like could have been from a state lab or something that would be used for their processing.
Other than that, has it been altered in any way to knowledge?
No, it looks like it might have been opened and resealed by the lab.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers into evidence State's Exhibit 84.
Same objections, Mr. Gold?
Yes, sir.
All right, those are overruled. State's 84 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Now I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 76. What are you looking at here?
So in those 3 items out behind the shed, this would have been the third one in that order. It appears to be a pair of small blue jeans. At the angle we're at, everything, it kind of fits the description, but we're not sure. But we went ahead and labeled it item number 3, took photos of it in place so that we can then remove it and better examine it.
And if you weren't here for the beginning of the trial, one of the second witnesses was little Athena's stepmother, and she was able to identify these jeans as being Athena's jeans because they had, I believe, flower embroidery on the front pockets. So she was able to identify these jeans being Athena's previously in the trial. And that was a really heartbreaking moment.
You said fits the description. At this point, was there did you have a description of what the Athena Strand was wearing when she was kidnapped?
I believe we did. It was a pair of jeans with some flowers on it. We didn't have a picture or an exact knowledge, but it was blue jeans with a flower pattern on it.
And what are we looking at here?
So as with the other photographs, we would have removed it from that area to better examine it, get it out somewhere where we can spread it out on the brown paper, the clean brown paper. And I just want to reiterate that the brown paper gets wrapped up with each item. So it's a new piece of brown paper each time we take this photograph.
And just to be clear for the record, this is State's Exhibit 77 that we're looking at right now.
And it's labeled item number 3 on the paper. It has scale, so we can add size to it. And this would have been obviously the back side of the blue jeans.
And I'm showing you now what has been marked as State's Exhibit 78.
So this would be the other side, the front side of the blue jeans. And from this, I told the rangers that were out there, I can't remember exactly which ranger, and they were able to see it and relay that back to the other investigative teams that were either talking to the family or talking with the defendant to see if that's an accurate description of what she was wearing at the time of the abduction. So, and we also know when we saw this, you can see there's something in that leg, the pant leg. So it looks like a sock, which it turns out to be a sock.
Now I'm showing you what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 79. And so what are we looking at here?
So these are the blue jeans with the sock removed. We would have packaged these together since they were found inside, since that sock was found in there. So we removed it, photographed it with scale, and then we'll wrap it up into that brown paper.
So one sock was found separately out
Just by itself, right.
But one sock was still inside her pants.
Inside the pants, yes.
Your Honor, average.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's funny the things that you find heartbreaking, because right now I find it so heartbreaking that he didn't even save these like for a trophy. Like these weren't even a sick, you know, like scrapbook edition for him. They were trash. I mean, he did all of this, and I don't try to make logic of evil most times because there is no logic behind it. But the fact that these weren't even used as like a trophy or, you know, is treated with any sort of honor, that he just threw them away again. It just, the casual disregard for her as a human is so heartbreaking. The millions of little things that he did to take away her humanity, it's almost as galling as the big thing that he did to her. These, many little ways that he didn't see her as a person or a human or deserving. It just, it bothers the sensibility.
I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 85. Do you recognize this?
I do. It's our packaging, our labeling system, our item number, and the description of the item is youth denim jeans with flowers on pocket and one light blue multicolored sock and pant leg found behind shed on ground.
Does that also show that it's item number 3?
It does, yes.
And kind of like the packages before, other than the markings and resealing from the lab, has it been altered in any way?
Yeah. Nope, just the additional markings from the lab and the Weiss County Sheriff's Office sticker label. Yeah.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers an evidence State's Exhibit 85.
Same objections, Mr. Gold.
Yes, sir.
Those are overruled and State's Exhibit 85 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge.
We stand Judge Good Hair.
We're now showing on the screen what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 80. And what are we looking at here?
So this was a FedEx shirt that was found in the shed on the bed.
I believe they are trying to use, and the defense did allude to this before, but there were, I believe, motions in limine that because the first initial search done on his residence or hovel was under exigent circumstances, and then these were in plain sight, that basically they didn't follow all the standard procedures to get this, that because they had seen this and then locked everything down, basically it's a procedural thing. And they believe that the continued showing of things, the defense is very upset about pictures of Athena being left up. They've been very persnickety about people wearing pink. So the defense has, in my opinion, done just about everything to make their defendant more unlikable with just their tenor and tone of questions. It's very odd, the questions that they ask, because it is very clear that they see their client as the victim in all of this. And if there's anything guaranteed to piss people off, it's making a monster a victim. So I legitimately think they're a plant from the state. I mean, at this point, they are worse than if you had Daryl Brooks blame God in a, Ford Escape for this happening. Now, speaking of links to famous true crimers or infamous, he is also trying the DID defense, or at least he tried, like Letitia, and he also tried the I accidentally ran them over Daryl Brooks defense. Now, neither of them have worked, and he has pled guilty, so let's continue.
That we did our same procedures of collecting it with scale and identifying the number. So it'll be item number 4.
And it looks like State's Exhibit 81. This is just the front side of the shirt.
Correct, yes.
And were you given information of why to take the specific item, or?
We were, because at that point we had determined that she was taken in the FedEx van from the defendant wearing his FedEx uniform or clothing.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 86. And do you recognize this item?
Yeah, it's labeled item number 4. Same labeling system that we use, and recognize the initials. extra large black and purple shirt with FedEx found on bed in shed.
Other than the labeling of the ceiling from the lab, has it been altered in any way?
Nope, just a Wise County label and the Washington lab.
Your Honor, this time the state officer of evidence states Exhibit 86.
Same objections, Mr. Gold?
Yes.
Votes are overruled and states Exhibit 86 is admitted.
Yes.
Now showing you what has been admitted as states Exhibit 82. And what are we looking at here?
So dark colored hoodie. I believe at the time we were told that he might have been wearing a hoodie as well. So we went ahead and collected that as part of the evidence.
And does this also have a number on it?
It does, number 5.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm now showing you what's been marked as states Exhibit 87. Do you recognize this item?
I do. It's our labeling process, and it's item number 5. Large tech gear, gray and navy hoodie found on bed in shed with those additional Wise County labeling and lab.
I'm going to have Mr. Barrier, can you zoom in on what's been admitted as states Exhibit 82? And does that read large tech gear sweatshirt?
Yes,
So does that match the item that's listed in that bag?
it does.
And other than the any type of resealing or labels from the lab, it's sitting altered anyway?
No.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers into evidence states Exhibit 87.
Same objections, Mr. Gold?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, those are overruled. States Exhibit 87 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. And Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
Now, they basically are going on today. They're releasing the jury and going on to day 4. So we are going to pop over to day 4. Now, heads up warning, there is going to be a period of time we are going to speed through. I will kind of give you an idea of what the streamers got when the audio was played, but this is basically all that we got for a good chunk of the morning. Because of, them not wanting to publish this. And I think that's incredibly correct. I didn't want to hear it. I know Pretty Lies and Alibis wasn't going to, put it on her channel. And I was pretty much going to do the same thing. But we are on 1.25. So we can get through this. But there will be a lot of breaks, and we will be speeding through this since obviously we will not be hearing the audio. Now, I haven't heard from anyone that was actually in the courtroom, but it does seem as though they needed a bit of a long break, obviously, which I can understand for the jurors to compose themselves and everyone in the gallery as well. Where in the... Okay, come on, cursor.
And we collected that as well.
And did you have a warrant to search this van?
We did, yes. We had a state warrant.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, contemporaneously, this did happen on last Friday. I don't know the wisdom of that, yes or no, as far as, if the state wanted to try to get this in on a weekday. But I do think that there was maybe some strategy in letting the jury go home and have 2 days where they didn't have to think about the trial after listening to that. That being said, I don't know, trials are kind of fluid. So I don't know if there was any real actual strategy in having this happen on Friday.
going to show you what's been marked as States Exhibit 88 through 94. And do you recognize these?
I do, yes. These are, as I talked about with the residents before we do any search, we take entry photos, and it's no different for a vehicle or a van like this. We would take take entrance photos. We would take exterior entrance photos of the whole van around to include the license plate and the VIN.
And did you personally take these photos?
I did not.
And were you there when these photos were taken and present at the scene?
Yes, so as entry photos, as I explained yesterday, entry photos are taken in conjunction with an initial walkthrough with the team leader, which I was the team leader for this search. So I would have been standing right next to or behind the photographer.
So I know you previously reviewed these photos, correct?
Correct.
Do they fairly and accurately depict the search that you guys did and the evidence that was collected?
They do.
And obviously, these are not the entire amount of photos you guys took.
Correct.
This is a limited number.
Yes, this is just a select few.
Okay. And Your Honor, at this time, the state opted evidence, States Exhibit 88 through 94.
No objection, sir.
States Exhibits 88 through 94 admitted.
Thank you, Judge. May we publish?
Yes, ma'am.
We are showing you what has been admitted as States Exhibit 88. Can you tell me what we're looking at here?
So this would have been one of the, what we call the entry photos for prior to searching the van. As with the residents, we would have wanted to capture some identifying information, excuse me, with that separates this van from any other van. So in this picture, you can see the license plate clearly displayed.
And the license plate, can you read that license plate number?
I can. G is in Golf, C is in Charlie, P is in Papa, 0468.
And is that license plate, I think we refer it usually to the last four, that 0468, is that associated with the arrest van?
Yes, it is.
You published States Exhibit 92. States Exhibit 92, what are we looking at here?
So this would be the van's, I believe, surveillance system that kind of I'm not a computer person, but kind of the brains of the surveillance system.
And is this where an SD and a SIM card would be for that camera system?
Yes.
You published States Exhibit 93. And what are we looking at here?
So this is the SD card that was collected from that arrest van.
And if you zoom in a little bit, is there a specific number listed on that SD card?
There's the size, the 128 gigabyte, and
And then for those of you who are new to the trial, there is a reason they are distinguishing the arrest van from the incident van. Tanner was arrested driving another truck, so not the truck that he unalived Athena in. So they did searches essentially on both the truck that he was arrested in and then the truck where the video was recorded. Now, I don't believe it transmits video. I believe that they did have to go to North Carolina to get the proprietary system to play the SD card. So I don't believe that it's a live feed to the security company. I believe it's more of like a cover your behind thing. Like if a delivery goes missing, they can pull the chip, but I don't believe it's like a live feed. So I'm not sure that, there was any way that anyone could have seen the footage and rescued Athena. He might not have known about it.
there's also what appears to be either a serial number or I think we called it a serial number.
And I'm going to go ahead and show you what has been admitted as State Exhibit 94. And what are we looking at here?
So this would be the back side, the opposite side of both of those objects. We always take a front and a back if it's a kind of a two-sided object.
And was this the SD card and SIM card that you collected? That you and your team and the seizing agent, is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
And Your Honor, may I have correction?
Yes.
I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 95. Have you seen this item before?
Yes.
Can you tell me what that is?
So this is the SD card that's photographed. It's photographed in Exhibit 93.
Is there a license plate number listed on that item at any point?
No, there's not. Actually, up here in the corner. I'm sorry. Normally it's down there, but yes, it is up there in the upper right corner.
And what does that say?
It identifies it to that vehicle that we.
Core TV was showing this live. It's delayed through me because I was a little slower on the uptake and I had to do my taxes this week. So yes, I was the last person doing my taxes. But that's why we're doing catch up, because tomorrow we will start a little later so that we can, in theory, zip through some of the breaks, but we should be able to be fairly live. The one reason I was doing this on a delay was because I was unaware when they were going to bring the audio in, and I wanted to be able to give you guys a heads up. But after that, it's, figure we can do it on a little bit of a delay.
Also have the photograph of, as well as the date.
And is that 0468?
It is, yes.
Can you publish State's Exhibit 93? Can you zoom in on that? Does that number on that SD card match the SD card that is in that piece of evidence?
Yes, it does.
And other than any additional marks on there, was it altered or modified in any way to your knowledge?
No, it looks to be in the same description as the picture from that day.
And at this time, the state offers to admit State's Exhibit 95, the SDSM card.
State's 95 is admitted.
You may have taken a few more pictures and then collected a few more items from that arrest van, but was that the main item that was collected from that 0468 arrest van?
Yes, like I said, the other one was a scanner, and that was the package scanner, and that was it.
Now, on December 5th, 2022, did you also look at again, we're going to call the abduction van?
We did, yes.
And what did you and your team do on that?
So that van was inside a sally port or a car garage area at the Weiss County facility, and it was loaded with packages, and it was definitely the van that he was driving on the day of the abduction. So we wanted to process it for forensics, meaning hairs, fibers, blood, DNA, whether that's semen, vaginal fluids, saliva. So in order to do that, we would, as I talked about yesterday, we would go ahead and suit up in our Tyvek with our booties, take our entry photos, and start unloading the van so that we could get to the back of the van and do our forensic search.
And as a team lead, were you there when the complete search was done and when these photos were taken?
And the reason that they had to unload all the boxes is because prior to them discovering that this was potentially a crime scene, the truck that he used to abduct Athena had actually been given to another driver and sent out on a route. So they got that as quickly as they could back to the Sallyport, and then processed it on December the 5th. So they were delayed at least 5 days, probably longer.
Yes.
And you're on average?
Yes, ma'am.
I am showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 96 through 115. And have you seen these items before?
Yes. Yeah, this is the van inside that garage, as I talked about. And once again, they're the start of our entry photos.
And have you had the opportunity to review all those photos prior to coming in here?
I have, yes.
And do these photos fairly and accurately depict the search and the evidence collected on December 5th of 2022 in the abduction van?
They do, yes.
Done at this time, the state offers into evidence State's Exhibit 96 through 115. Have you published a State's Exhibit? What are we looking at here in State's Exhibit 97?
So this would be one of the entry photos to start the search of the van. One of the initial photos that we would take with some. It was a little cramped in that garage, so I think the photographer, we talked about just starting at the best angle we could, and then we'd work our way around. So this is probably kind of the start of those photographs with some looks like identifying FedEx numbers.
And this is a garage. Is this at the West County Sheriff's Office, or where is this at?
It is, yes.
And is it a secured and locked location?
It is. And it's also important for it to be inside the garage for not only security and control, but as we do our search, we have to have a dark environment to do an alternate light source, which we did in this case. And so we have to be able to turn off the lights.
Okay. See State's Exhibit 99. Showing you State's Exhibit 99. What are we looking at here?
Like just identifying one of the cameras that's on the vehicle.
And we published State's Exhibit 102. You zoom in. Is there a license plate in this photo?
There is, yes.
And what is this license plate on this van?
It is N as in November, N as in November, R as in Romeo, 4995.
And is that license plate the license plate of the abduction van?
It is, yes.
And have you published State's Exhibit 105? And what are we looking at here in this picture?
So this is the back of the van as we found it that day when we responded to process it. It was still loaded with packages that hadn't been delivered yet or had just been picked up.
Have you published State's Exhibit 106? And what are we seeing in this photo?
So this is the same van, same back of the van after we've removed all of the packages that were back there.
And what did you do with the packages that were in this van?
We removed them out of the van and we put them in another container, and I can't remember if it was a van or a temporary storage area.
I guess you don't know, but if they got picked up to be delivered to the rightful people?
Right, yes. Yeah, I think FedEx came and got them eventually.
Okay.
I wasn't in charge of that part. That's why I loaded them.
You published State's Exhibit 108. And what do we see here in this photo?
So this looks like the front passenger side, and it's a backpack and appears to be a hoodie.
Now, this backpack and hoodie, we're talking about the abduction van. Whose backpack and hoodie is that? Is that Tanner Horner's or someone else's?
Sustained, only you would.
Whose backpack is that?
It's unclear, but we did know that Tanner Horner was not driving the vehicle when it was seized at the time. So our assumption there was that it was the current driver's. I don't have his name, but not Tanner Horner's.
And in the, can you zoom in on that? Can you zoom in a little bit? What are we seeing in the back of this photo here?
As far as personnel?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's how we would dress when we do a forensic search. So we have our Tyvek on with the hoodie, and they have probably started processing, at least getting ready to do the vacuuming.
So that is the white Tyvek suit that you talked to us about?
Yes.
Have you published State's Exhibit 109? And what are we looking at in this picture? What angle is this coming from?
So this is coming from the cargo area, looking into the driver and the passenger area of the vehicle.
So you were standing at that cargo door. That's what you would be staring at.
Correct, yes.
I'll show you what's published 110. And what are we looking at here?
So this would be the same, the brains of that surveillance system that's on the FedEx van.
Is this the same camera system that was on the arrest van that we've already talked about?
It's very similar. I don't know if it's the exact same model, but yeah, it's, I think this one had a little bit different camera setup, but it's the same type of system.
Can you publish State's Exhibit 111? And what are we looking at here?
So it would be the SD card that was in the system itself from the other picture.
The front portion of that SD card?
Correct, yes.
And I'm going to show 112. What are we looking at here?
The backside of the SD card, and the white thing is the SIM card, but the SD card is the black one that we took the front and back photos of.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Weary, you can go ahead and put it on. Yeah, thank you. I'm already happy. I'm showing you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 116. Do you recognize this item?
Yeah, the SIM card is, I know it's in here. There it is, yes. No, it is in here, but there are also some thumb drives, but the SD card's in here.
And I'm going to have you read the front of the package first. What is the license plate number on this package?
It is November, Romeo 4995.
And is that the license plate that is associated with the abduction van?
Yes, it is.
And is that where that SD and SIM card were seized?
Correct, yes.
December 5th of 22.
Yes,
And I believe you're looking at the SD card in there.
I am.
Can you see that?
It's very small, but yes, I can see it.
And you can open it if you need to, but if you can see those numbers, so the numbers match the photographs that were taken on 2022.
Yes, they do.
And you were there present when this item was collected.
Yes,
And when this item was collected, you were here handed it to Wise County Sheriff's Office for storage.
yes. After we collected it, it was handed over to Wise County.
And the USB drives were added when Ranger Espinoza went and got the full video put in place.
Yes, they could be derivative evidence of the SD card.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers into evidence State's Exhibit 116.
No additional objection.
Those objections remain overruled and State's Exhibit 116 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. In finalizing this search on the abduction van on December 5th of 2022, was there any additional evidence that you guys collected at that time?
For the abduction van, we did take some forensic vacuuming samples. So when we do that, we have a vacuum that has a clean filter on it, and we vacuum in quadrants. And so we'll vacuum like the driver's side, and then we'll get a new filter, change gloves, go over to the passenger side, take vacuums, and then we'll vacuum the back cargo area as well. And then after doing that, we would do fingerprinting. So we would look for latent prints around the vehicle. If we see any obvious ones, we can take photographs. Otherwise, then we start dusting. And I believe we did dust the frame area that looks into the driver and passenger side from the cargo area. So we lifted some prints there. And then there was a couple of areas where we took some swabs as well. So we do swabs for DNA, and we can do whether it's touch DNA or whether it's actual bodily fluids. It's the same swab that we would use to collect that.
And to your knowledge, was there any real evidentiary value of any of those items?
On that day, I don't believe so. Not that I'm aware of.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of move you ahead. So after December 5th of 2022, was your FBI ERT team asked to do anything additional with regards to this investigation for Athena Strand?
Yes, we were asked to come back out and reprocess the abduction van.
And do you recall when that was?
That was on January 6th, 2023.
And why were you asked to come back out?
So when we processed the van the first time, we have forensic flashlights that emit a blue light at a wavelength of 455 nanometers. And so that's a good enough wavelength to process a scene for bodily fluids, or you can see cleaning supplies with that. But sometimes if things have been cleaned up well, that the strength of the flashlight isn't quite strong enough. So we have another system that we have back at the office that, in discussion with our FBI lab folks, thought that might be a better option for us to process there. So we decided to, in coordination with Wise County and at their request, come back out and reprocess the vehicle with a stronger, basically a stronger flashlight, forensic flashlight.
And at that time, were you aware that Tanner Horner attempted to clean up that abduction van?
Objection. Here's a.
So as part of the discussions for redoing or reprocessing the van, Wise County mentioned that when we did it on December 5th, there was still a lot of information from the interviews, and the autopsy hadn't been processed yet. So as those items came in, it allowed us to have more information to reprocess the van.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll show you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 117 through 139. And have you been able to review all of these prior to coming in today?
I have.
And do you recognize what these are?
Yes, this is the entry photos and item photos for that search on January 6th. Along with the sketch, photo of the sketch and the items seized.
And were you present when these photos and this search were conducted on that day?
I was.
And do these fairly and accurately depict what you saw during that search and the evidence collected?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the State Office and Evidence, State's Exhibit 117 through 139.
The majority of the photos. However, we do have objections to 126, 127, and 128. For 126, the proper foundation has not been laid, and the officer has not testified to any personal knowledge of that document, and I apologize, it's 126, not 128. As for 127 and 128, these fall under a police report, and these are part of a police report, and therefore they're hearsay with no exception.
Let me see, 126, 127, 128.
Your Honor, they are just the diagram of where the actual 10 swabs were taken and the swab. Objection. Oh, sorry.
I'm going to hold in abeyance 126. Your objections to 127, 128 are sustained. And I'm going to hold 126 at this time.
Now, I believe that the reason they are having to hold back on this is that I'm guessing another crime scene analyst was the one to actually collect. I'm guessing these are DNA samples or fluid samples that were found in the van. So he might not have been the person to collect these, and they might need to be brought in by somebody else.
Have you published State's Exhibit?
And all the, I'm sorry, Ms. Newell, states 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 122, 123, 124, 125, and then 129 through 139 are admitted.
Thank you, Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm going to publish State's Exhibit 118. What are we looking at here in this photo?
So this is the what we're calling the abduction van, again, with the back cargo area still cleared out as it was when we left it from December 5th.
I'm gonna have Mr. Berry zoom in a little bit on that.
Your Honor, maybe approach real quick.
Yes.
Okay, we are still looking at what has been admitted as State's Exhibit 118. And this license plate, can you read that off?
Yes, November Romeo 4995.
And is that the license plate that is with the abduction van?
It is, yes.
No. Published State's Exhibit 122. And what are we looking at here?
So these are tie-down straps that we found in the back of the van, and they were laid like this for purposes of photograph.
And why were you looking at these tie-down straps?
After discussions with Wise County and some of the investigators, it was determined that
Sustain. Rephrase your question.
You can do one more. State's Exhibit 123. What are we looking at here?
so these are green bungee cords that were found in the van.
And did you have any additional information that would make you want to look for any of these type items?
Yeah, as we started processing this van, we were told
Officer, don't testify for what other people.
Again, what they are alluding to here is that there were markings on the body that might have been tied to, or it looked like, I'm trying to say this delicately. Basically, there were some patterned markings on her body, and they were worried that she could have been tied up or restrained.
Told you, objection sustained.
And did you process these green budgies and collect these?
yes, we did.
Show you what states, or actually, hold on, that's right. Your Honor, may I approach this?
Yes.
This got mixed up. And do you recognize this item?
I do, yes.
And how do you recognize it?
So it has item number 2, which matches our labeling nomenclature as well as all the other items on the bag. The description is listed as green cords with the number 3 beside that.
And other than any lab processing, has it been altered in any way, to your knowledge? And were you present when this item was seized, and were you considered the seizing agent?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time, the state officer of evidence states exhibit 1.2.
Yeah, maybe question.
And I was expecting, as we got into more detailed evidence, that there were going to be more objections from the defense. This is incredibly damning. Now, I believe this is when they start to play the audio, or there are some photographs or some information that we are not allowed to see. It might be discussion of the evidence and the ligature marks or what have you. Quite frankly, I am A-okay with them protecting Athena's dignity. There are things that we as the public, I don't think, need to see. I'm heartbroken that our parents have to see it in order for us to get justice, but I'm very glad that this trial, this courthouse, and the media coverage is not showing us things that only the jury needs to see. The Emmy has not testified yet, at least in our watching. We are trying to round up day 4, so we will be on time to start on Monday. But where we are right now, she has not testified yet.
Mr. Gold.
Thank you.
All right, stage 142 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Published State's Exhibit 124. And what are we looking at here?
So these are what we call black bungee cords or black, yeah. So the black bungees that were found in the back cargo area of the van.
And were these items collected and placed in evidence?
They were, yes.
Your Honor, average?
Yes.
I believe you have the item in front of you. It has been marked as State's Exhibit 141.
Yes,
And can you, have you seen that item before?
I have, yes.
And how do you recognize it?
It's our labeling nomenclature with the case, the FBI case number, the date, then a description that says bungee cord, one bungee cord in piece, and then and location was storage area and truck. It has a collector initial for Angel Klein, and then my initial as well as an assistant collector / witness.
And other than being open for any type of processing, has it been altered in any way, to your knowledge?
Nope, just the Weiss County Sheriff's label and a couple markings from the lab.
Your Honor, at this time, the state offers into evidence State's Exhibit 141.
Any objections other than those previously mentioned to me?
No additional objection, Judge.
Okay, states, those are overruled, and states 145 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. You could publish 129.
Now, before we get into this, I am going to do a Moxie break. We've been going for about almost 3 hours. So if you need to get an emotional support beverage or, gummy fruits, because we are going to start getting into the nitty gritty. I have pre-watched some of this, and it's always hardest on me when professionals, very stoic individuals who have seen a whole lot, get choked up. And while we're not going to see anything graphic or anything like that, I do want you to be mindful that this is still going to be a rough day. So I do want you guys to, get yourself comfy, get yourself snack foods. So without further ado, here's a Moxie break. You have about 2 minutes to go use the restroom, get a snack and hug your kiddos before we get into some more, well, not so great testimony.
I take it down. Woo! Hey. Oh yeah. I take it down a minute and a half. Yeah. When the dark gets long and the tea is hot, and the emotions piled are quite a lot. When the state says boom and defense says pass, that's when I call my mini ass so classy and sass. Woo! Oh, Moxie, the emotional support mini donkey, tiny but mighty, a courtroom honky tonky. If the trial goes sideways, she don't panic or balk, just a soft little hee-haw and a judgmental walk. Clip clop, trying to do the mess. Ears perked high and out of rubble.
Now, see, you guys, I thought ahead and had Mr. Mo get, well, the largest available package of gummy nerds at Sam's Club. So, and I managed to lure Loki over here with the heat being on the chair. So, and of course, my trusty Coke Zero. Well, we do have we do have Rumble, but I haven't seen anything, you know, it, dark humor. If I think you've crossed the line, I'll let you know. But you've been okay so far. So, I hope you guys got that because we are going to get into where bodily fluids are found. And this is a teeny tiny little girl. And this light is going to show nothing good. So, I did want to give you guys a little bit of a chance because unfortunately, the rest of today is going to be pretty tough with evidence that is coming in of the true account of this crime.
Special Agent Ross, what are we looking at in this photo?
So this is our alternate light source that we use for conducting forensic, kind of a forensic light test of the back of the van. It uses a wavelength of light, and we wear orange goggles to look through, and it can illuminate stains that were left behind by bodily fluids such as semen or intestinal fluids, urine, other things. It's a stronger power than the flashlights.
So this is the stronger one of the flashlights you were speaking to us earlier about?
Correct, yes. And in this photograph, you can't photograph it with a naked eye or a naked camera. You have to have filters and everything. So we leave it in place when we're taking the photograph to show kind of where the stain was.
And the published states Exhibit 130. And what are we looking at here?
This photograph is the same setup where we're trying to show where the stain is using that alternate light source. This is, I believe, the step going into the cargo van, and this is the swab technique that we use to take a swab for DNA.
And the light source, is that what is, I guess, shining on this object?
Yes.
And I believe a minute ago you talked about a special camera to take this photo?
So yeah, it's the same camera, it just has a special filter on it. The same, where we wear orange goggles or orange glasses, you can put that same filter on the camera lens.
And were you present when these DNA swabs were taken?
Yes.
And Your Honor, Matt Roach?
Yes.
You have in front of you what has been marked as States Exhibit 140.
Yes,
Do you recognize this item?
I do.
And what is it?
So this is a box containing 10 swabs. So this is our standard nomenclature. It's the date, the case number, the vehicle identification number. So it would have been 3678, the abduction van. So it's, like I said, 10 swabs from cargo hold. Once again, it was the collector of Katie Tibbet and the assistant collector of Angela Klein, both of their initials, and then they would all have been contained in this one box or one bag.
And I know we only showed this one photo, but we admitted into evidence photos that match each one of those swabs.
Yes, yeah. After I reviewed the photos, they match the swab locations.
And other than any processing, has it been altered in any way to your knowledge?
I don't believe so.
And I very much like this. Again, the state's attorneys, and we've seen the opposite. We've seen where state's attorneys, prosecutors are desperate to pull on your heartstrings, are desperate to pull the jurors, emotionally. We saw it in Uvalde. The state is being so restrained. I mean, the state could literally have us bawling our eyes out every day at the end of every day. The case is that horrible. And I really appreciate that they are being so measured. I mean, if they went, minute by minute, detail by detail about how awful this crime was, they could win with their hands tied behind their back. But I appreciate the respect and the restraint that they are showing. They don't have to show us every single stain that proves that horrible things happened in that van. They're allowing the jury to look at it themselves. And I just have been incredibly impressed. Again, we're only on day 4, but with the very emotional stuff that we've had to deal with, the way the state and this judge and the bailiffs have all handled this case has been very incredible. I've seen cases where they are not handled this well. So I have been incredibly impressed with the judge and the state.
Oh, yeah, other than the additional Wise County label and a couple of lab notes.
At this time, the state office and evidence, State's Exhibit 140.
Okay, those objections are overruled. State's Exhibit 140 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. After the search on January 6th, did you with the FBI or ERT team, did you do any additional searches at that time, or did that conclude?
After this search of the van and the swabs and the items collected on January 6th, I myself and the blue team, who I'm the TL for, did not do any more searches.
Thank you. And pass it, Judge.
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Agent Ross.
Good morning.
A couple of quick questions. Actually,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to hand what's marked. Defense Exhibits 6 through 10.
Steve?
Nestor is not in on this one, but in my opinion, this defense has been objectionable. Now, whether it was a strategy or just very ill-conceived, all of their questions seem to inherently, or at the base of them, consider Mr. Tanner Horner the victim. At the start of the trial, they complained about the people in the gallery wearing pink because pink was Athena's favorite color. Now, it was in no way obnoxious or loud. There weren't, t-shirts screen printed. There were just various people wearing pink in the gallery. The defense decided to comment on that. The defense has been hell-bent on making Tanner the victim with each and every one of the people that they cross-examine. And I do believe that this is a mistake that is going to compound, especially after that audio comes out. It's very much what I said about the Paul Canero case, that them painting him as the family man, as the good guy, worked until we saw him outside of his brother's, garage, basically, photographed before he went in and unalived an entire family. Then that defense becomes intolerable. What was merely aggravating or maybe misplaced becomes that much more of a sin. I don't know what the defense is thinking here. Honestly, I've said a couple times that I think the defense is a plant from the state, but whatever their strategy has been incredibly snarky, snobby, and just grating in a case like this. And after the audio, that compounds exponentially. What was just aggravating, what was just annoying, what was just maybe you're confused, becomes you are actively defending a monster who I had to listen to an hour of a little girl fight for her life against a monster and lose her battle. It becomes so much more grating and nauseating. So I don't know why they've decided to make Tanner a victim of lead paint, autism, and fetal alcohol syndrome, along with the mean police officers who decided to use a SWAT team. But it is going to be incomprehensibly worse once the jury has heard the audio of this little girl pleading and fighting for her life. And I don't know how any defense attorney would decide to start this strategy in a trial like this.
I believe you had a chance to look at those before the court.
I did, yes, sir.
Can you identify those for me, please?
So these were photographs taken on December 2nd when we did the search of Tim Horner's shed and associated residence. These pictures appear to be pictures of the main residence for that address.
And they are true and accurate representations of what you observed that night.
Yes, these would have been entry photos that we would take before or as we're entering the house before we've done any kind of searching.
May I move to have exhibit 6 through 10 once admitted?
Councilman Meyer, no objection.
Okay, defense exhibits 6 through 10 are admitted.
May I move to publish these to the jury?
Yes.
May I do it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
There you go.
Interesting that they're not publishing to the gallery as well.
Just to clarify, those are pictures of Jackie Harbison's residence.
Yes. Yeah, the main house of the residence.
Do you know her relationship with Mr. Horner?
I do not.
Come on, baby Huey, come up with a question.
Thank you, Charles. You testified earlier about using brown butcher paper.
I did, yeah.
Can you tell me again why that's important when handling evidence?
So when we remove evidence from its found location, sometimes due to environmental conditions or lighting or something like that, we have to move into an area that would be better suited to take those photographs and also the scale of photographs. So in order to preserve the integrity of the evidence, we place it on a clean sheet of butcher paper. We put down one butcher paper to protect us from the ground. And then so that one would be clean. We put down another sheet for each item so that.
Now, this is a very important step, and not a lot of evidence technicians talk about this, but I was actually impressed about the barrier sheet of butcher paper between, the item, the ground, and then there's a whole nother layer of butcher paper to get any trace evidence. And then that, I mean, again, it has been refreshing to see an investigation that was so by the book, that was so let's dot the I's and cross the T's. You can tell I have dyslexia because I can never get that saying correct. But again, the defense is grasping at straws. They did their job. They did a good job. There really is nothing that they can impugn here.
That sheet can then be wrapped up and put in with the item. Sometimes, we have to move it inside if it's raining or inside of an area that hasn't maybe been associated with that item.
You'll actually send the butcher paper with the item.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why a sock would have a whole big bag because we have a big wad of paper in with it to preserve that item.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you remember or not, but on a couple of your photographs of the FedEx van, in addition to having the big FedEx logo, I believe specifically says Exhibit 97 and 100. On the side there, it has a designation that it's a big top spin vehicle.
A big what, sorry?
Big top spin, the company's name, I believe it says Contractor Services Program.
Okay, I do not recall that in the photo.
Okay. Now, when you showed using a light to show organic fluid, that light doesn't tell you what kind of organic fluid it is, does it?
It does not. That's why we take the swabs.
Now, as to those.
Again, the strategy here to remind again, why bring this up? And I'm not saying don't defend your client, but in my mind, as a layperson, it makes no sense to continually remind the jury that there were bodily fluids to be collected, period. I mean, the fact that, he says, well, you can't tell what fluids those are. I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lab tech here. in the next couple witnesses that are going to explain exactly what happened or what these fluids were. So for him to play this game with a witness that wouldn't know those answers to try to get a gotcha moment, jurors notice these things. You may not be a law nerd, you may not be, a person that, OD'd on trials like one of us, but you're gonna notice that if you're paying attention that, wait, he asked questions, but he must have known that the lab person was gonna come in and explain exactly what these are. And when you are defending such an inherently unlikable person, you need to be the human avatar of goodness. You'll need to be like a shining light Steve Gosney type of person, to where maybe the jury can't extend humanity to your client, but they can extend humanity to you, and, you know, it somewhat reaches your client. To have smarmy and these sort of gotcha questions, these trick questions, it doesn't give you the impression that they're fighting a fair fight. It's like they know they don't have a case, and as a juror, that would piss me off.
Item C, those were not collected by you.
Which items specifically?
We've got items 1 through 8. It looks like those were by Tippett and observed by Clark.
Which day were you talking about for them?
This would be the